Hey, it's Majin Bob, and today we're going to be doing a little bit of a shorter video than usual, and that's mostly because I was thinking about Resident Evil, and well, this thought was going a little bit more rampant than usual, and I guess it's a good idea to just, kind of give my thoughts on it, and if this particular game could actually function as a, modern remake. So let's get into it, shall we? Now, really quickly, I want to just start off by saying that this isn't exactly what I want Capcom to focus on. What I really would like Capcom to focus on with the streak that it has right now, with, the good games it has, why not a Dino Crisis? I think Dino Crisis would be a very, very good target to bring into the modern age, especially with how well they have done with Resident Evil 2 Remake and Resident Evil 4 Remake. I think Dino Crisis is a lot better of a target than Resident Evil 1. But we're gonna just, have this thought-provoking session, shall we? Now, the first question we have to ask ourselves is, what do we bring to the modern age with Resident Evil 1? Well, the thing is that Resident Evil 1 has been remade, although I wouldn't say remade, it's more like remastered. So this kind of had the same treatment as Resident Evil 4, where Resident Evil 4 has been on multiple platforms, but it has never been remade, only remastered, or, there's a high-def version of it, and people have it as regarded as the best Resident Evil tank-controlled version in the series, and I probably agree with it. The problem with bringing in Resident Evil 1 Remake would be that people would find it redundant, and honestly, I would probably agree with it. Let's just go over some of the things that could make this a really good game. So, one thing we probably need to start talking about is the setting. One of the things that people hold on to is certain trigger words. So when people say the mansion, or I should say the Spencer Mansion, people already have a picture in their head about, the hall. They have a picture of maybe the dog starting to bust through the window, or maybe they have the iconic first encounter with the zombie. There's a lot of things that could flash through a person's mind when they say the Spencer Mansion. So the other question we could probably ask is, what is there to expand on? Now, the story of Resident Evil 1 is somewhat convoluted, and the problem that it has is that there's a few inconsistencies. The first one is that if you either play as Chris or Jill, one of the characters of Chris, Jill, Wesker, and Barry, they're going to be left out from the story entirely. So in Chris's campaign, Barry is completely omitted. You don't hear anything, you don't see anything of Barry at all. And in Jill's campaign, Chris is completely gone until the end of the game, and Rebecca is completely omitted. Rebecca is not even in the game. So the problem here is that Rebecca, Barry, Chris, and Jill all canonically, they live. So now what is there to really go off of? Is Chris's campaign canon, or is Jill's campaign canon? Although I would say that it's a mixture of both. That's what I would say. I kind of would like to have a little bit more of a consistent story. Just a little bit. Here's an interesting thought. What if we could explore the forest of Raccoon, or the Arklay Mountains? What if we could explore that forest area where you explore the downed helicopter, where you explore the dead bodies around the helicopter? That would be interesting. And then obviously seeing, I think Kevin is the one that first gets killed. I don't remember who gets killed first, but you see that happen in front of your eyes, and no matter what you do, it's not enough to save him. And probably the interesting one, I think, would be, running away from the dogs and running towards the mansion yourself. Obviously, the big thing about a remake is, well, are we going to have a camera perspective of over the shoulder or static? I won't mince this one bit. I do not like static cameras, mostly because I enjoy rotating the camera around and actually looking at things that interest me. I don't necessarily like it where you're supposed to look in a certain direction and all of a sudden the camera starts turning in that direction. I don't necessarily like that. Monster Hunter has that every single time you die. That's annoying. And, well, I don't necessarily like the camera being pulled away from my control. Let's just put it that way. However, we also have to keep in mind that the camera was there for a purpose, and the purpose was to bring in caution. And even though it's not necessarily fear, it's more like fear of the unknown. That is the big thing that the camera angles were supposed to exude, was the fear of the unknown. You didn't know exactly what was beyond that bend, what was beyond that corner. You saw that corner, but you never knew what was behind it until you actually turned that corner. Now, exploration, we can also tie in some puzzles. The puzzles are rather... the thing is that people enjoy doing things fresh. There's a reason why Resident Evil has a huge community about shuffling around and rearranging the items in such a way where this door leads to another door and this door leads to another door, and this item isn't the item that is depicted when you pick it up, and it becomes something else as you pick it up and put it in your inventory. There's a reason why Resident Evil has such a huge modding community. Probably not for, the horny reasons, but actual reasons of changing the gameplay to where it's fresh. Now, with the exploration, obviously the camera with over the shoulder actually probably could work very well with Resident Evil 1 Remake. And the reason why is because Resident Evil 2 showcased how well the zombie placement can be, and just how well fear can just overcome your mind when you have no clue what's going on. You see it where the modern age has ushered in new players, because the tank control system, while it works for the old and classic, probably needs to stay old and classic, because players, especially younger players, they don't necessarily want to fight the controls. They want to fight the enemies, right? So I guess this could be also another way to usher in newer players, because let's face it, some people started playing Resident Evil 2 as their very first game, and Resident Evil 4 is for some players is their very first Resident Evil game. So it kind of stands to reason that keeping something's classic as a classic is probably the best, and keeping things modern ushers in newer players, right? Obviously you had to give something new. And probably the final question is it worth it to do this remake? Now, that's a very interesting question to ask. Honestly, I don't know if it is good to bring this game into the modern age as a Resident Evil 4 remake. Honestly, because even I don't know what to expand on. What do you expand on? The story is something that could easily just have some corrections. The puzzles will always have a difference of it, which will always require some kind of brain juice. Other than just probably the difference of the camera perspective, there's nothing there that would actually get me excited to play Resident Evil 1 Remake. Remake? But, I mean, to each his own, right? I've already said before, I would rather have Capcom put their efforts in other games and other IPs. But that's basically all I had to say for today. So, I will see you later. Guess what? The streams are coming back, and if you had missed any of my streams, although not many are uploaded, you can see them here on this channel. The channel's link is in the description, and if you want to join my Discord, you know, hang out, if you want to talk about other things, and maybe you want to challenge me in fighting games, hey, you can find the link in the description also. So that is all I had to say for today, and I will see you later. Peace.